the L1 Compact is a product born out of the interactions we have with musicians and people that need to present to audiences.
Test, check.
Our goal was to allow the customer to take it from the car to the performance space and be able to do it with just a single trip.
What emerged was a product of extreme portability. You know, like we say, it literally is just a minute to set it up. And although we've all come to assume that you have to have two speakers to reach people, we felt that, wait a minute, if it could be done with one, that would greatly cut down on the complexity and the time necessary to get set up.
Okay, I'm all set. I'm ready. Are we ready?
Let's start with carrying it from the car. So it's very lightweight, it's extremely easy to carry.
And I can have an acoustic guitar in one hand, I can have the powered bass in its protective cover in another hand, and I can have the extension slung over my shoulder.
From the car to the venue, you're already happy and you haven't even plugged in yet. You can expect easy setup. There aren't any speaker stands required, because the extensions that come with the product easily allow you to elevate that top half of the array.
The electrical connection is made, which eliminates the use of speaker wires. There's no locking mechanism or anything that would make that a more complex setup procedure.
But what we're able to do is eliminate all of those extra details by developing a nice, simple, sturdy connector that was integrated into the bottom of the extensions and the array, that allowed the components to be safely nested together.
You just plunk it up there and it works. You know, we want to make the thing as elegant as possible and sleek, but at the same time it's got to be indestructible.
We chose a plastic that was very durable but also very lightweight. That allowed us to have the unique shape of the extension, maintain its small size, but also create something that was very durable.
The idea that there's no wasted material, there's no wasted gestures, there's no ornamentation, that doesn't do a job.
Everything is there for a reason. It's very pragmatic. There's a lot of thoughtful design details, but that's because we scrutinized every aspect of it in that way and with that mindset.
There are many situations where a general purpose, easy to use, portable PA system could be very helpful.
That can operate in a multitude of venues, whether it be theaters or on a stage or in gymnasiums.
We have two very distinctive modes of operations. One that we call the collapsed state, which is where the mid-high array is actually placed in front of the woofer, or the extended mode, where we have two additional extensions that allow the mid-high to be positioned more at ear height for people that are standing.
With the L1 Compact, it's not just about plugging an instrument in it. It's about plugging in a microphone, or plugging in an iPod or an MP3 player, or plugging in a PC, or plugging in any source that we all use. And that's why I think it automatically becomes very accessible to people. There's no product like that that I'm aware of that gives you this level of flexibility. So it's something that is immediately engaging to people, whether you're a musician or not.
What we're seeking to do is really make the life of the musician or the AV person in the school or the general user of this product as simple as we can.
The spatial dispersion technology in the array is another important contributor to the vision that this is a loudspeaker made for performance because of its projection qualities. The notion was to create something that could project the sound of the presenter, the musician, right into the laps of every single person in the room, whether they were in the front row or the back or off to the extreme sides.
You have to make sure that you've got wide high-frequency dispersion as well as ample vertical coverage.
It doesn't matter where you are, one or more of the drivers in the array will be staring at you. That is, in fact, how we are filling the room with only one loudspeaker. Tone match is a technological solution that optimizes the sound of their microphone or instrument so that it sounds its best.
The thing that has surprised a lot of people is just how natural and effective tone match equalization, particularly on acoustic guitar, is. It does a fabulous job in really making an instrument sound great. And I would say the same is true of the microphone input.
We are putting the kind of what I call loving attention into the details of a product that I think is a hallmark of the best products.
A very good friend of mine sent me a frantic email saying, "You have to try the new Bose L1. It's perfect for you." This is a guy I've known for 30-some years. He's a great musician and has fantastic ears. I had the opportunity shortly after that to experiment. It sort of was one of those life-changing moments.
The first time he played an L1, he called me and said, "Look, we got to play, I want to use these now instead of my rig." And I was like, "Well, a column with 3-inch speakers, come on." And he said, "It's the first time in my life it sounds the way I've been hearing it in my head."
Suddenly it was like, wow, okay, there's a clarity here that will let me take my whole sort of sense of sonics and sound to a new place. Everything I do that has anything to do with acoustic guitar and part of the electric sound all comes through Bose L1 systems. As I was developing this project, I knew that there were going to be some sonic challenges. I've always had a little bit of problem with speakers anyway, because to me that's always been the weak link in things. The output side for me has never really been that satisfying. The truth is, the amount of sonic complexity that happens in the air is truly infinitely, exponentially more complicated than what happens when you cram a bunch of stuff into a couple speakers. Because to me, 2 speakers is just not enough. With this project, my idea was to try to keep as much discrete sonic stuff going on as possible. And this idea of using Bose speakers all around the stage, getting sort of discrete individual elements working together in the air, is the goal here. So essentially what's going on is kind of buried in here. You can sort of see them, but we have a black background. There are discrete L1 columns that I assign to, kind of mirror the exact image that we have on stage.
We have a lot of Bose all around us. There are 12 altogether. You can hear everything because it's all coming from the locations.
A big part of what makes this so cool is the discrete imaging aspect of it. That concept of having the marimba, which is sort of physically here, but then I can monitor it from right there also, is just incredibly stimulating and inspiring. Standing in the middle of this every night is like heaven. It's just the greatest sound you can possibly imagine. Although I'm, of course, an electric musician, my ideal remains acoustic music. I think whatever success I've had in this area has to do with sort of applying an acoustic sensibility to electric instruments. And the Bose stuff is central to it all. We could never have done it without it.
I can't think of anything else that would do it. The coverage of it is more instrument-like, in a sense, is that you don't get any sense of it that it's coming out of a speaker. And that's what they do that no other speaker I've used can do.
We've done concerts all over the world and will continue to do more, and every day they've just performed perfectly. And of course the ease of setup for the crew in the midst of all this, just I think probably the highlight of their day, that they can just go jerk, 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 and it's done.
I mean, we've got a lot of them. They go up so fast and they disappear at the end of the night. And in terms of everything we've brought with us, you sort of don't concern yourself with them because you just put them down, you plug them in, and when you're ready, you turn them on and turn them up. They work. And I'm trying to think of something else we have that does that, and I actually can't.
This whole thing has been an incredibly enriching, exhilarating project on all fronts.
This is just an instrument for him now. It's not, a science project that's, you have to explain why you're doing it. It's actually, we finally built an instrument that he can play and get back to the music.
In fact, this all feels like my instrument now, because it is. It's attached to me. We've done now more than 80 concerts, and I can say I've never gotten a response like this for anything.